Yo, what up? This is Mike Brown, and this is The Art of Letting Go. Today, I have a special guest in the building that, man, you were just in China, right?
Yes,
And
up until February 7th.
whew, so you experienced everything that we are experiencing now.
Yes. Yes. The initial panic, not knowing what's next, all of that, yes. But it seems like it's times 10 now in the United States, which is really crazy.
Yeah. Before we get too far into it, though, can you introduce yourself to the people?
Okay, yes, my name is Britney Francis. I am a teacher, and I am originally from the from the United States. I'm so used to giving this speech while being abroad. I'm originally from Louisiana. I'm an alum of Xavier University of Louisiana,
Yes.
and I'm a teacher.
Okay. So what were you doing in China?
So I was teaching in China. Initially, I went over to teach like at a language learning center. So they're basically like like tutoring centers, basically for kids between the ages of 3 and 18 to learn the ins and outs of speaking English.
Wow. That's really dope. What made you want to do that?
Well, so initially, like I was in Houston, and I had just kind of got bored with life, and I was looking into becoming a teacher here. So I was already starting a process of becoming a teacher in Houston. And, I was, prepping and, studying for like little tests and different things to do like a certification program. And I was inspired because one of my friends who actually had been teaching for a while had gotten a job offer in Dubai. And I was like, man, I wanna go abroad too. Like I would love to live, in another country, whatever. So I started making plans to do it like, later. Like, okay, I'm gonna teach in the States for like a year or two and then maybe pursue that opportunity later. But it just so happened that I started doing some research. I was initially looking at Japan, and um, for some reason at that moment, Japan seemed like it was harder to like fulfill the requirements to get over there. And so I started looking at China, and I just threw my resume out there on one day on faith, and then I got a call back, and I was in China like a few months later.
Wow. How long were you out there?
Mhm. I was there for 3.5 years.
Dope. And
Yes.
what? So was this what brought you back? Like the pandemic over there? Wow.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes and no. Yes and no. You know, I had a great time living in China. I actually had moved up from teaching at the Language Learning Center and actually had got my feet wet like in early years. So I did a brief stint teaching high school kids, and let me just tell the world that teenagers are teenagers no matter where you are. So just know that that was a challenge either way, even if they were Chinese. Um, and then after that, I was teaching early years, so I was teaching like ages 2 through 6.
Wow.
I had learned a lot. Being an educator and learning all the different ways that like kids at that young age can retain language and all the things that they can learn and do. Like it was really fun getting to learn those types of things being a teacher and actually doing hands-on things with them and whatever. um but yeah, so the pandemic is part of it, um, because at that moment in time I was ready to come back home.
Yeah.
And
Hello, Brittany.
okay, we back.
Cool. Yes. Technical difficulties.
They hating on us. Technology hating on us for real.
Right. But yeah, we left off where you were saying why you left China.
Okay, and I can't really hear you as loud as earlier too. Um, so where was I? Yeah, so the pandemic was just part of the reason, but it was also so many other things that you have to deal with being a black person in China, and those were really a lot of the reasons as to why I left as well. The pandemic was just like the icing on the cake.
Wow. So what was it like being a black person out there?
Well, so I'm trying to figure out how to word this properly. China was a country where the borders were closed for, forever to outside people. And so, they have a limited worldview. The way that their government is set up and their culture, they don't have the type of access to information that, people in free countries have. And so, most of what they know about Black people is what they see on TV, on their television shows, or, on their variety shows, or just whatever they hear, stuff that people say. And it's, they're a very gullible society. So, they can hear something like, Black people can wipe their brown skin off, and they'll come up to you and, like, rub, try to rub your skin off with their finger and see if it's on their finger, stuff like
Wow.
that. So yeah, so it was crazy. As soon as you land, um, and get off the plane, like someone's taking a picture of you or they're recording you. Um, you know, Literally every day you walk out of your house, someone is like surprised to see, you're walking down the street with your black skin, just living your daily life. It's like a big deal to the average Chinese person who hasn't been outside of that bubble. So that made it really interesting sometimes, but also difficult because it was funny at first when you first get there and you're not used to being in that environment and everybody's all excited to take pictures with you and this and that. But then as time goes on, you kind of figure out that, it wasn't because they wanted to take a picture with a black person so bad. They were actually taking your picture to like share in a group chat with their friends and make fun of you,
Wow.
or post it on, like, they have a website that's similar to Twitter called Weibo, and like they'll post pictures of a black person on Weibo and it's like a million comments and likes and people are saying things and stuff like that. So I mean, it just depends on how you your outlook as an individual, whether or not you can ignore stuff like that or get pissed
Yeah,
off. It just really depends on the person.
that's a trip.
Hmm.
So what was it like experiencing the pandemic out there, like while you were out there?
For me, it was really scary because, for the time that I was there, the entire duration that I was there, my mom was scared to
Yeah.
death. So, it was, even before the pandemic, my mom was just like, "When are you coming home? When are you coming home?" Because, whatever she knows about China, she sees it on TV. And it's almost funny how the parallels are. You're looking at Chinese people thinking, oh, they only know what their media tells them, but it's the same for Americans. So, whatever my mom has come to know about China throughout her lifetime or what she sees on TV is what she thinks is happening. So, the funny thing about it is, my mom, while I was there the entire time, she kept up with news as it was happening. So, see, she messaged me in December and said, yeah, I'm seeing that they're having a pneumonia outbreak out there, whatever, just be careful. And I said, oh, don't worry about that. That's in Wuhan. That's nowhere near me. And little did we know that that pneumonia breakout that she somehow came across through whatever subscription she has on the internet actually was coronavirus.
Wow.
And yeah, so it was really crazy. But anything that ever happened, she would message me, did you hear about that bus crash and such and blah, blah. And I'm like, no, I didn't hear about that. Yes, I heard about that. So, it was really scary. And actually, as things started to get crazy, a lot of people were on vacation. So when the pandemic started to spread, it was during Chinese New Year, which is like one of the biggest holidays in China. And so most people travel. They either travel within China to go home, visit their families and spend time with their families, or they're going abroad. And I actually read something recently that said that Chinese people spent the most money on tourism around the world, more money than like Americans, everybody. They spent like 200+ billion in travel alone.
Wow.
So, it was during that time where people are leaving and they're going, wherever, all over the world. And yeah, so we're on vacation, and then I was flying back to Shanghai to get back to my house because we were hearing from my job that, like, we would, oh, we'll be back in 2 weeks, whatever, let's just wait this thing out and see what happens. But it was at that moment when they said they were going to cancel flights and stop flights in and out of China is when my mom started freaking out completely, like just completely losing her mind. And at that moment, I said, okay, I'm out, packed all my stuff, and I left. And I've been back ever since on February 7th.
Wow. So what is it like being back here and now having to deal with all of that again?
It's really weird because when I first got here, like physically I was here, but mentally I was still in China. I was still on the same sleep schedule. I was up all night and sleeping during the day, keeping in contact with nearly all of my friends in China, keeping up with all the drama, keeping up with everybody's story about whether they're staying or leaving. And, um, then there was a lot of drama at work. It was just a lot going on. It took me weeks, like weeks, to actually get on a regular sleep schedule. And even my eating habits are still kind of weird. Like I don't really eat that much during the day. I'm more hungry at night when my body's actually used to eating lunch. I want to eat more food later, which is not good.
Yeah.
So it's been an adjustment. But yeah, over the last couple of weeks, it's been kind of triggering, just because we're kind of seeing everything all over again, and people who I've been talking to, just whoever, family, people that I meet on the street, whatever, they're just saying things like, "Do you think it'll be back to normal soon? Do you think it'll only be 2 weeks?" I'm like, "No, no, no,"
Yeah.
because I feel like it's a repeat. I said, when we were in China, they told us, "Oh, 2 weeks." And then, in the US, they started saying, "Oh, everything will be back to normal in 2 weeks." And I'm like, well, they said that over there. And here we are months later, so nobody knows what's going to happen. Um, yeah, it's been an adjustment. That's all I can say.
So being that you already been through this, what should we expect?
Honestly, I don't know because right now the United States is handling things in a totally different way. China pretty much cracked down on everything from the beginning. They were requiring everybody to wear a mask everywhere. They were taking temperatures. People stayed home. And somebody made this point actually on Twitter yesterday that America, everybody has like an individualist attitude. So, it was much easier for another culture to just everybody just, stay together, stay in the house, obey orders, don't leave unless it's necessary. It was easy for everybody as a collective to do that because the government told them to, and they're very, they take government very seriously and they just follow through. Whereas in the US, the government has taken like a really laid back attitude, and now all these things are coming out about them already knowing about what was going on, and people are losing faith in our elected leaders, and it's different. It's actually kind of disappointing. I can honestly say that there were moments when I lived abroad where I was actually ashamed to be an American. I will not lie to you.
Yeah.
And this is one of those moments where I feel like we're all going to be ashamed to be an American if they don't get a handle on the situation right away. Because right now we're already surpassing all these other countries, and the projected number of deaths right now is completely scary.
Yeah.
They're thinking by the end of it, it'll be like 200,000, which is like, wow.
That's crazy.
Yes, yes. And another thing, it's been really rough because, initially, even while I was in China, I also had this kind of feeling of being disconnected. I didn't know the language, and so, I didn't know what the real numbers were. I wasn't getting like personal accounts of people who were losing family members from it. So even though I was still there, and I was only there from from the time I got back from vacation up until when I came back, it was only 10 days. But I didn't get those personal accounts to really feel like if it hit home. But then once I got here, and people that I went to Xavier with, or friends and family from China who came back home, or just people that I know in the States, are losing their granddads and their uncles and their cousins and stuff. And then it started to get more real. Whereas when I was over there, I didn't know people who were losing people. But over here, somebody's dying every single day.
Yeah.
So it's hitting so much more closer to home. So it's a very serious situation. And we just got to be diligent and, wear our masks, stay inside, wash our hands, just take it seriously and stop hanging out. Don't go to house parties and, just
That's
follow
so
the rules.
reckless.
Right? Have you seen all the videos of people just hanging out, kicking it?
Yeah, no, I personally know people that are like having house parties and stuff, and it's scary. It's very scary because but at the same time, I was telling somebody, if I was 2021, I probably would have been that person that spring break, like, oh, this ain't
Mm-hmm.
gonna stop me. So, I
Mm-hmm.
understand it, but as a mature person, I'm very scared for them and for all of us.
Yeah. Well, I also had another thought that it's really sad because I think that because people are so used to being overworked and not having time off, not having time to let their hair down and just breathe, a lot of people are just taking this time to take advantage of just not having shit else to do. So they're going out, and that's also really sad because you think of all the people who are just kind of like disregarding the seriousness of the virus to say, shit, let me go hang out and go kick it with so and so because I haven't seen them in a long time because I've been working
Right.
my ass off, you know? So that's also really sad.
Yeah. How are things out in Houston?
Houston is Houston, they just enacted like a stay-at-home order a couple of days ago. But I love Houston. Like when I came back, I was literally telling everybody who would listen, like, I'm back in my happy place. I'm happy. I'm happy. So, initially, like I was very happy to be back. And now slowly but surely stuff started shutting down. But I'm comfortable. I'm happy. I'm with relatives right now, so everything's fine now. I'm just in a place of wondering if I should stay here and wait it out, or go back with my mom and support her through the situation. So I'll probably end up doing the latter. Just go back to my mom for a little bit
Yeah.
and make sure she's okay. Make sure she doesn't have any reason to go to the store. I don't want her to compromise herself to go pick up some chicken or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Shoot. Well, I'm glad you back on this side. What is your daily routine been like?
when I can actually keep one, I get up, do my daily hygiene habits, shower, face, routine, all of that, just to, start the day off fresh. I spend the morning pretty much catching up on what's happening with people over in China, and I probably should stop doing that because I feel like at this point, I think I need to start the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the disconnect process. Like kind of disconnect. It hasn't been helpful to keep up with everything going on. It's kind of exhausting. But I get up and I, check whatever messages came in overnight. Um, check with, my employer, people that I worked with, friends, whatever. And then I eat, and then I kind of start looking around for like different things to do, read, whatever I can do to take my mind off everything that's going on. I just try to keep myself busy.
Yeah, I feel
What
that.
about you?
I have been reading. I just started this week learning how to play the guitar. Been having one forever and just never fooled around with it. So now I'm learning how to play the guitar. Working on a little music here and there, but walking a lot, praying,
Mm-hmm.
meditating,
Mm-hmm.
journaling. Um,
You doing better than me. I need to be doing all of that. And I'm usually on stuff like that, at least journaling at the very least. And I haven't been in the mindset of like, oh, let me do something that's actually gonna, help me stay relaxed. you know. So I need to get like you.
you know what? It's been bringing some presence to me because it's forcing me to just really look at where I am right now. Because sometimes, like, for me, my mind is always either working on something or planning out what I need to be doing next. So, kind of slowing down and just taking that time to look at, okay, what's going on right now? How you feeling right now? What's this? What's that? And it gives me a lot of clarity and a lot of peace. Because sometimes I'm not in the mood for it. I try to do it every day, even when I'm not in the mood, just to clear that space. Hello.
Okay, I'm back.
Cool. We back in. And thank you for your patience. I really appreciate that.
No, no problem. No problem at all.
So the question I was going to ask you before we get out of here is, what is one piece of advice that you've learned on your journey that you could share with the listeners?
Well, I think that the most important thing is for everybody to stay safe. Do your due diligence. but not only safe physically, but like mentally as well. Because I know that with, so much uncertainty, that, it's easy for people to slip into a place of thinking like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Am I going to lose my job? Is my income going to be affected? Oh my God, please edit that. Affected. Um, so many unanswered questions. And I know that it can be hard to just kind of like, just be still. I think the most important thing is for everybody to be still, stay calm. If you need to, incorporate some, like you said earlier, some meditation, some breathing exercises. Take this time to look up, some beginners yoga, anything to help you like stay grounded. And also, pick a book to read. Pick a book to read every week. Set a time every day. 30 minutes, an hour to read a good book. Um, reach out to your friends, get your support system, or family members. Reach out, call people, call your elderly relatives, and check on them. Um, just stay in contact with people. Don't shut off. Just stay open, be still, and just ride it out. That's all I can give. That's what I'm doing. Just trying to day, just make sure I'm doing something to help myself. Do research on some business venture that I've been wanting to do for a while, or, you know, whatever you want to get into, do the research. Um, whatever. Just keep yourself busy and write it out.
That's what's up. Where can the people find you?
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram, Brittney Island, BritneyIsland, Brittney Island. Um, my Twitter name is the same, Brittney Island, and also on Facebook, Britney Francis, BritneyFrancis. If you're interested, you can look at photos from my journey, students I've had, trips I've taken, experiences, whatever. You can find information that I've posted over the years from my time abroad. If you just want to talk, or hit me up and say, oh my God, how did you get through it? Or if you want advice on maybe going abroad, living abroad later on when everything clears out, if you want to go teach in China or just anywhere, I can tell you some different places you can look up information on how to get over there and be successful.
I appreciate that. We definitely gonna talk because I want to go teach in France for a little while. But we'll talk about that.
Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah, Brittany, thank you so much for
You
being
can
on
do
the
it.
show. I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me. I've been wanting to talk about this, and I know for sure I'll probably write something for sure about my experiences. Definitely being a Black woman, um, living in a country where Blackness is viewed as a threat, or not looked at as being beautiful. My experiences, being a strong Black woman, living in that type of environment, and how I got through certain challenges, or what it was like being a teacher in an environment like that, and just different things that I experienced. I definitely plan on publishing something soon.
That's really dope. I look
So
forward to it.
yeah, for sure. I have a lot to say, so I definitely will have something out sometime this year. And I do plan on starting my own podcast as
Okay.
well, something related to sports. That was another thing that I was working on when I was in China. I had like I was building a sports brand for Black people living in China, because there was an issue back when the NFL were having their issues. It just seemed like it was hard to get that point across that racism does exist in those type of spaces, and it was hard for people, particularly Chinese American people and just Chinese people in general. It was hard for them to understand that even if an athlete is rich, it doesn't mean that they're willing to accept mistreatment for the sake of getting millions. And so I had started my own sports brand, I guess you can say, called The Blackout. And I also have The Blackout. The Blackout has a page on Instagram. If you can follow The Blackout Sports on Instagram, I would appreciate that as well if
Okay.
you want to check it out. It's in limbo right now, but when everything is back in order, we will continue making posts and one day start a podcast. So if you're interested, follow the Blackout Sports at Instagram.
That's what's up, and we definitely gonna have to bring you back on because I want to hear more about your China experience. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely bring you back on.
Oh yeah, I have a whole lot to say about the sports experience as well.
Yeah,
There's a whole lot to say, so I'll definitely be back on whenever you have me.
I appreciate that. All right, y'all. Well, thank you for listening. This is Mike Brown, and this is The Art of Letting Go. Peace. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of The Art of Letting Go. If you like what you heard, please be sure to subscribe to us wherever you listen to this podcast and leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Let other people know what you think as well. If you want to get in touch with us, hit us up on all social media at The Art of Letting Go Podcast. Also, you can send me an email, theartoflettinggopodcast@gmail.com, or give us a call. Leave a message. We might play it on the show. 213-394-2773. Also, if you would like to support The Art of Letting Go, we got some really cool merch, as well as we're now on Patreon. You can find us, The Art of Letting Go Podcast. Subscribe to us. Thank you guys for listening. This is Mike Brown, and this is The Art of Letting Go.